Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, the governor's in a pickle. Also, the V-Team takes a look at a Birmingham grand jury. And where in the world is Clinton Carter's gaming commission?
Everybody is to leave here immediately. This cafe is closed until further notice. Clear the room at once.
How can he close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Everybody out at once.
You think? Maybe. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Hi. Hello.
Well, it never ends in Alabama. There is corruption or investigations all the time. But one thing we can't get an answer to is, where is the gaming commission? Jack, the governor put this task force together. Clinton Carter's leading it, and they were supposed to come back with a report before session.
Before session.
We're getting toward the end of session.
Right, and they haven't even met on top of that we know of.
Not recently.
But because it's an open meeting.
Yeah, we would know because it's under the Open Meetings Act.
It's typical Alabama legislature. Let's punt.
Yeah.
We got the ball, let's punt. And I think the people are really tired of the inaction and the ineptitude of these 140 people over here that don't, they don't do what we tell. I mean, they can't even pass a budget half the time.
Well, they did get the budget out of the House,
I know.
but Susan, this is very simple. Let the people vote. I mean, we are not children. The people of Alabama do not need to be told when to get up, when to go to bed.
Absolutely, and they're going to do what they want to. Anyway, they're just going to do it in other states.
Right.
All right? So let's get that up front. We're losing money to other states. People are going to gamble. They're going to go buy lotto tickets, whatever. I mean, we know tons of people, including Beth, that do that. Let the people vote and decide for themselves what they want to do here.
If they want it, yes. If they don't want it, no. Why does this small group of men and women have the right to come in and tell us what we can and cannot do with our money, our time, and our bodies? And that's I'm just tired of it. Was that a little dramatic? But yeah.
No, I mean, it seems as if there is maybe some hesitation to do anything. Like, let's look like we're putting up this whole task force and all these things. But really, the true punting would be letting the people vote on it, because then it's out of your hands. And whatever the result is, all 140 people over there can say, wasn't me. But this way, you've got this commission. They're not doing what they were commissioned to do. And it seems as if somebody is really enjoying the static process that we've got going.
I'm sorry, I'm telling you, the reason the commission was called together was to have an opinion before the session started so that lawmakers could make their decisions, yes or no. If they're going to put it to the vote, people would vote yes or no. They purposely, before session ever started, they said, well, we're going to wait till June, which everybody knew that meant after session.
Well, I just never expected that Clinton Carter would be unicorn hunting. And that's what this is. They're just being unicorns because they don't want to take any heat.
3 words: Porch Creek influence.
I was going to say follow the money, but it's the same thing.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Same
Well,
3 words.
it's ridiculous. We need an answer. We do not need this one group of individuals controlling the state. I want to move on. Talking about people who try to control the state, that's the Business Council of Alabama. Once a notable and a very good group has deteriorated over the years because of the leadership of Billy Canary, the guy who basically sat in Mike Hubbard's office and they plotted how to use the state to their benefit. His name came up in a grand jury investigation in Birmingham this past week about a Superfund cleanup site in Birmingham, Susan.
It did. There was a fund. There's a neighborhood there around 38th Avenue,
35th.
I think, 35th Avenue, that has been so polluted that 400 out of 1,000 homes tested positive for toxic chemicals, either in the ground, in the air, or in the water. This fund was set up to go and clean that up. Now, Billy Canary decides that he's going to write an editorial about this that says, I believe the quote was, we're going to, take advantage of all these corporations with the fines that they had to conduct social engineering experiments. I'm sorry, when is cleaning your toxic chemicals up that you spilled in a neighborhood an experiment?
Well, Beth, I don't know about you, but that sounds like pure out and out racism. It's black people that live in those neighborhoods.
I hear social engineering experiments, and I think like Nazi Germany is what comes to mind. I mean, because that's what they started calling all the eugenics stuff. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, these organizations have to be held accountable, because at one point in Birmingham, you couldn't see from one, it was like Los Angeles, you couldn't see from one end of the city to the next. And we have to make sure that we keep building on the progress, getting that city clean.
Well, Jack, one of the things is that they're asking about this joint resolution that was passed. They want to know who was behind that. And it certainly kind of appears, since Billy Canary was praising that joint, maybe he's behind it. We don't know.
Well, I think one day people in the industrial and big business community will realize that Billy Canary is not a good actor, and there are options out there, the NFIB and Manufacture Alabama. But as long as he has this clout with the legislature, then he's going to keep on doing back behind closed door deals.
You would think that the big power players, Drummond, Alabama Power, Allegasco, AT&T, all these big people would say enough of enough, that this guy is leading the charge for business in Alabama. They all ought to just quit and go over to, like you said, Manufacture Alabama, or somebody that's honest.
And this is not the first.
At least I don't find him honest.
This is not the first grand jury he's been involved in.
No.
He was sitting there doe-eyed on the witness stand talking about how much he loves Mike Hubbard, and that should be a red flag to anybody.
Well, then maybe he should go stay with Mike.
I think he'd do better in a federal prison, to be honest.
Well, anyway, he's
big eyes, he'd be loved in a federal prison.
Oh, gross. All right, speaking of prisons, we got about a minute and a half. The legislature is coming back in next week, and it's prisons all the time, Susan.
It's going to be prisons from now to the end of session. I'm quite certain of it. We may, at the rate they're going, we'll end up with 20 or 30 of these bills, I'm quite sure. But there's Johnny McMorrow has been touting for some of the counties to actually take some of these prisoners, which they had initially. That makes a long story. I won't go there. But anyway, wants the counties to take some of the prisoners for the overcrowding issues. Alan Farley's going to carry the bill. It sounds like a good idea, but people need to realize this will increase the cost per prisoner. Yeah, but the other thing is, Jack, like you and I were talking before, doesn't this give them incentive to arrest more people?
The county people who are going to get paid to house these folks, it gives them no incentive to release prisoners. It gives them incentive to keep it full because they'll get more money.
Yeah.
Well, what like the sheriffs and the food fund. We know how that went.
Well, and again, we want to get this over with, but the real deal is we're going to build these prisons, and if justice reform and sentencing reform works, Beth, we're actually going to have a bunch of empty buildings that we paid $800 million or $500 million for.
We should strive for empty prisons as a society. What are we doing? This is ridiculous. Anyway, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis.
Azia Medical Spa offers a relaxing experience using customized skincare treatments and full line of physician-grade products, with professionals that can assist you in determining which treatment options will best help you achieve your desired results. Azia's massage therapies are popular for rejuvenation and relaxation, as well as relief of tired, aching, and sore muscles. Voted the best medical spa in Birmingham for 3 years in a row, visit aziamedicalspa.com to schedule your appointment.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. There, over at the Attorney General's office, General Steve Marshall is making some adjustments over there. He has promoted Catherine Robertson to be chief counsel. My understanding is that's mainly a policy advisor, Jack. She had worked for Jeff Sessions, I think, right out of college, and then she came on board with the Alabama Policy Institute, which I think is fairly much a sham organization, but you may feel differently about it. But
I think originally it had good intentions.
I think it had great intentions. Anyway, we won't go there. We've looked at her record of writing, and she seems to write about two things: gaming and the fact that the state is spending too much money and they need to cut spending. But I've never seen any solutions to either problem that make any real world sense.
Well,
so what's that all
I
about?
don't like somebody that's over there with a preconceived notion that gaming is bad. Now, we know the position of the AG's office over time. When Troy was there, it was kind of in and out of the gambling thing, mostly leave them alone. Then Riley raided, and ever since then, everybody that's got a casino is like this, never knowing what's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe she's competent. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I've met her. She seems perfectly nice. Beth, you know her at all?
I don't know her, but I mean, I'm with Jack in that it bothers me that the Attorney General's office is supposed to be, kind of above the fray of a lot of this stuff. And so if you've got somebody who's already gone on record and stated their opinions on these issues, and gambling is such a sensitive issue, that it makes me wonder if she would really be able to advise him on what's fair and what's right under the law.
Well, and the thing that bothers me, it sets up another situation that makes us doubt. Now, Luther brought her in right before, or right after, Susan, he did something strange. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Right after he kind of asked for the impeachment committee to back down, that they had an investigation going on. So, and it was also kind of the time where we knew that Trump was going to be in and that probably Sessions was going to be given a position and Luther might take. It was kind of a weird time.
Actually,
when
the letter, I think, was written a couple of days before the election.
Yeah.
But it covered, just in case he won.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sessions, everybody knew Sessions was going to get
right,
something.
and listen, to the Miss Robertson may be a perfectly fine person. It's just she has a body of work that has caused me to get calls from right, left, and center. And I mean, it's not just a few people. So it is concerning. One thing that I think people should have seen coming is that Twinkle Cavanaugh is running for governor, Beth.
I mean, twinkle, twinkle, little star, right? I mean, I don't see this going anywhere, but shine on, girlfriend, have at it. And this would make her, if she were to succeed, the third female governor of Alabama, right after Lurleen and Rebecca Mason.
Oh.
So that would be good.
I was going to say, there's only been one.
Right, well, Rebecca Mason was, she's been the governor for the past how long?
And so
she's been ordained governor.
Yes.
I think
by the chief magistrate.
Seriously, I understand her husband had a conversation with her when she was toying with the idea of running for lieutenant governor. And he said, Twinkle, this is your ultimate goal. Here's $1 million, go have fun. And of course, $1 million won't win it, but in addition to what you can raise. And it kind of puts the power company and their people in a box, because win, lose, or draw, she's still on the Public Service Commission.
You know what I like about Twinkle is she was good to us. when we were going through the Mike Hubbard thing. She has always been honest with us, and she's a conservative, and she's a bulldog, and she shows up for work.
She does, and she's done a good job over at the PSC.
Yeah.
And I take Twinkle very seriously, and heck, you know, if a female can't win necessarily, she's going to give it a run.
Right. Well,
and I think that's great.
I think she will. I'm curious what her campaign message is going to be now that she can't fight Obama every single day.
Well, it's going to be jobs, jobs, jobs.
It has been for years.
I mean, now that she doesn't have the big bad, EPA to stand up against, what's the message going to be?
Vet, pardon the pun, she will be a very dogged candidate.
I don't think that's get pardoned at all.
No, seriously. But I mean, at least she runs her card every day at the building where she
That's right.
serves as
And she-
PSC.
and she
Whereas
drives her
Jeremy
own car.
Oden and Chip Beaker are like once a month, and they're collecting 80-something thousand.
Wow,
I'm
Jack,
all
you're
over it.
you're on that.
Well, I'm on that because
wow.
they're robbing the taxpayers.
Twinkle is, I can't say that I'm voting for anybody.
Right.
But I think it was good to have Twinkle in the mix. She's good on her feet. She's a very, very loyal Republican. She's done a good job.
She's going to raise some really good questions out there and that make people think.
Well, I've got some good campaign ad ideas for her, too, so she'll just give me a call. We'll float those by her.
Talk about that at the break.
All right. Well, one of the
No, I mean, like, legitimately good ads.
Well, we've
Good.
got about 2 minutes before we go to the speaker, and I want to get to this. The governor's in a pickle over this impeachment. The peach in a pickle, sour.
Yeah.
But Susan, this thing looks like it's going down hard and fast. I mean, the Ethics Commission is coming back this week with what we believe are going to be charges.
The governor's attorney came out, Garber, last week and was talking about how this was not due process and what they were doing. They're trying to get the impeachment committee stopped. This is not a due process issue here to start with. That comes when it gets to the Senate. But come Wednesday, the Ethics Commission is going to come back. Come Friday, 2 days afterwards, that's when the impeachment committee is going to meet again. So it looks like they're really getting it up there to move pretty quick.
It could. Now, Albritton, the director, can bring out and say, this is what our investigators found. Now, the panel, the commissioners, have to actually vote to send it either to the local DA or to the Attorney General's office. What if they say no go?
Well, I mean, isn't it true, though, that there's still, we know there's still an AG investigation into the governor.
Right.
There's still potentially a federal investigation into the governor. Wasn't the postmaster poking around for a minute over something?
Yeah, that was part of the whole federal investigation.
So, there's still a bunch of different ways that this could all go down, but it's starting to look like Bentley's getting boxed in here, and the chess moves are getting fewer and fewer.
Jack, what happens if Bush Ellis abstains, Jerry Fielding and Charlie Price vote no, and you got the other guys, nothing happens, right?
I don't give a damn what the Ethics Commission does. I know they have some clout in this issue, but we don't even need them.
No, we don't. We don't.
But if they make a recommendation to the AG that we believe Bentley has violated this, and this, I think the impeachment committee needs to just step back and let that process work.
All right,
they are trained investigators, and God help us all if the legislature pass any judgment on anybody.
Right. Well, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with Speaker of the House, Mack McCutcheon. Welcome back to The V. We're going to continue the second part of our two-part interview with Speaker Mack McCutcheon. you were accompanied the governor and some other folks to Washington, D.C., and part of that was to talk about Medicaid and what's going to happen next. Any thoughts on that?
Well, the meetings were, we had the opportunity to meet with some of the president's staff from his office that's working on the repeal of Obamacare and Medicaid issue. We met with the chairman in the Congress, Chairman Walden from Oregon, and he's the chairman over this bill that they're working on. We had the opportunity to meet with Congressman Collins, our own congressional delegation, and some senators. And through all those meetings, one thing that was very hopeful was the fact that they're moving in a direction to allow the states to control the Medicaid programs. And this was a breath of fresh air for us, because we're trying to do some things in Alabama to help our Medicaid system.
Right.
But because of federal regulations, our hands have been tied.
Do you think this comes in the form of a block grant, or do you just have more flexibility with the program itself as far as that goes, or
well,
do you know yet?
Yeah, and we really don't know, Bill, but the discussions were going, depending on who you was talking to, of course, but the discussions were that it was kind of a block grant system, to where they're going to, per capita numbers of Medicaid patients, they were going to give you an amount of money and untie your hands and let you manage your system. And then through that, they had some safety nets in there to help those states that did not expand.
Right.
There were the states who did the expansion. Well, of course, you didn't want to penalize those states that held the line and didn't expand. So there were some safety nets in there, which was encouraging to hear. Also, Secretary Price, CMS, we had the opportunity to meet with him. It was a great meeting, very open and honest with us in the discussion, and he's willing to work with us and help us. So overall, it was some good meetings, good information. I'm just a little anxious to see how the vote goes tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I think everyone's a little anxious to see how the vote goes tomorrow. One of the other things that, of course, we're facing when the House comes back in, there's going to be a new bill we hear introduced in the House about prisons. We don't really know all the particulars of that, but prisons are an issue. The bill that came out of the Senate is a far cry from what it originally started, and there's questions about is that a good model or not, but what's your thinking when we come back in?
Well, it will definitely be a priority, and now that we have the bill in the House, and we're going to be looking at it. Honestly, we're going through it now, looking to see what's in there. It wasn't as aggressive as the governor had wanted. They're taking into account some existing facilities that we have, trying to put some money into some of those facilities. At this point, I can't say yes or no on it,
right.
but I will say that we're going to look at it. I can say, though, that the Senate did a lot of research, and they had a wealth of information, and we're going to take that information, compare that against the Senate bill that they have sent to us, and we're going to just see how it fits.
Okay.
That's one thing we're going to work on.
Well, we kind of wrapped our heads around what it means. We're looking forward to learning more, like you are, what happens next. One of the things that we haven't talked much about, and I don't know if you've looked at this very much, is this idea of a spaceport. Have you looked at that at all?
I have. As a matter of fact,
because that's got to be right up Huntsville's alley.
Well, it is. I think it's, when we look at Alabama and the work that we've done in the space program, I mean, how can we not pay attention to something like that? I think at the end of the day, it may turn out to be a geographical issue dealing with where we are in Alabama.
Right.
Common sense will tell you that if we were going to have a spaceport and be eligible for a spaceport here, then why didn't we launch the Saturn V from Huntsville when we were building the rockets up there? So I think there's some issues out there that we're going to have to talk about when it comes to geography
Right.
and Alabama, and do we fit into the grand scheme of
Right.
launching a space vehicle.
But Huntsville will, whatever happens, Huntsville will have a huge
Oh yeah,
support.
oh yeah, sure.
I don't know. It's one of those things that seems fascinating to me because, you know, we grew up thinking that we'd all get to go somewhere into space, and hadn't happened yet. We don't even have our flying cars yet.
Well, that's true. That's
Can't
true.
trust us
That's
with
true.
them, I guess.
But the future's ahead.
Yeah. Another thing that, you know, we don't know whether it'll come up or not, but it is a topic of interest. And this is really the last session we have to pass any, say, controversial bills or bills that may cause a little controversy. And that's the lottery. There's still people out there who are saying, oh, yeah, we're going to try to get a bill, and other folks saying that no way. You got any thoughts on where that goes?
I really, that's a tough question. I really do not think that we're going to address a lottery in this session.
Okay.
I think the discussion's ongoing.
Right.
I would like to see, and hopefully we'll be receiving a report from that, the task force
Right.
that the governor put
Right.
together. And a lot of the members are waiting to see what that task force report's going to look like. But when we look at the lottery, you cannot, with the current legislative body we have, we cannot talk about a lottery without talking about the other issues that we have with the electronic bingo, the dog track issue,
Right.
and of course the Indian presence that we have in our
Right.
state. All of those, when you start talking about a lottery, all of those discussions get involved
Right,
in it.
right.
And so it's not as simple as just debating a lottery.
Right.
And how well you know that, I mean, all you got to do is look at the special session.
Sure.
And see what we went through there.
Well, it seems like if all those parties could come together and iron out some of their differences, it might make it easier for y'all to look at it and like it with a clear slate. But
Well, I'm very hopeful and optimistic that that this task force
Yeah.
sitting around the table will bring us some answers to
Sure.
some of those questions.
Sure. We'd like to thank Speaker McCutchen for joining us once again on the V. Recently, the state lost a wonderful woman, Emily Armistead, the wife of the former chairman of the Alabama Republican Party, Bill Armistead. She will be missed, and we wish the family all the best. You've been watching the V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.